Coming to get you, Bobber.
Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be ranking every mask that Michael Myers has ever worn in the Halloween franchise. Now, he has worn 22 different masks in this franchise, so it's going to be quite a long video. Now, you could count 23 if you include the curse mask from Halloween H2O, but because that is the exact same mask as the mask in the Curse of Michael Myers, then I'm not going to include that. So there's only going to be 22 masks in total. Obviously I'm not going to include the Season of the Witch masks or the Corey Cunningham mask, the Scarecrow mask, etc. This is just all the masks that Michael Myers has worn. And finally, we also won't be including Ghost Bob, because Michael did have his original mask underneath it, so I didn't think it was right to include that because he did have his white mask on underneath the Ghost Bob. That includes the 2007 Rob Zombie movie. Now, the last time I'd done this video, or a video like this, and previously, I did get a lot of comments saying take a drink every time Barry says the word mask. Now, I can't help it, unfortunately. This is a mask video, so you're going to hear that word quite a lot today. So let's go, let's rank all 22 masks. In at number 22 is the CGI mask from Halloween H2O. I know that it is CGI, but everybody talks about this one, so I thought if I didn't include it, then people would ask me why I didn't include it. But yes, you know, if anyone's including this one in a ranking, then it's obviously got to be dead last. Not only is it ridiculous, the CGI could have been better, and I know that it was a rush job, but CGI could have been better, but at the same time, he didn't really wear it that much. He only wore it for that one specific scene. So, last place. In at number 21 is the Brute mask from Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. There's something about Michael wearing a mask that is like this, with too many features that I just didn't like. Obviously it's only for the one scene, but there's just something about it that I didn't like, and it just made me remember that I'm glad they went with the pure white mask in Halloween 1. I know that we're going to use different kind of masks, like the clown mask that we're going to use, etc. So I'm glad that they didn't do it, because this is what he would have looked like had they not used a pure plain white mask. So I'm glad they didn't do that. And this scene just proves that to me. I just didn't like it at all, and I'm glad that he didn't keep that one on. And at number 20 is the KNB mask from Halloween H2O. This is one that before I knew it was the KNB mask, I called it the alien mask or the light bulb head mask. I'm glad they didn't go with this one for the full movie. I know that this is the one that they tried to use for the film, but then the producers and everyone's looking at it thinking, this doesn't look right at all, so they had to change it up. So I'm glad that they changed it, because this mask looked too clean. It looked too white, and sometimes it looked kind of creamy see-through. It just didn't look right at all for the movie, so I'm glad that they changed it, because as you can see in this image here, they used that for the ultimate scene where Michael and Laurie faced off against each other for the first time in 20 years. And I'm hoping that that's the scene that they looked at and thought, no, we can't use that at all. So they had to change it up. So I'm glad that they did, because this mask is an abomination. And at number 19 is the mask from Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. There's just something about this one that just, the shape of it is completely different to all the other masks in the franchise. Yes, I know that the masks shouldn't really change, but this one changed dramatically. It almost looked like some sort of bird, like a peacock. It's too pointy, the hair's too slicked back, and the neckline looks too wide. There's just nothing really redeeming about this mask whatsoever. And at number 18 is a mask from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. And it's not the mask itself that's really bad, it's the lack of mask that bothers me. I know they're trying to be realistic in this one, because the mask has taken a lot of damage, and yes, it would probably fall apart, especially because it is supposed to be a 17, 18, 19-year-old mask at this point. So yes, it would definitely fall apart, and yes, it's more realistic, but the fact that we can see his face through most of the movie, and it's just decaying, it kind of put me off most of the film, and it's a little bit too yellowy for me as well. Maybe he's around too many smokers, but yeah, I think it's a realistic looking mask, but at the same time, it was an off-putting one. And at number 17 is the pink mask from Halloween 4. Now, the look of this mask, if you take away the colouring of it, the look of it looks fantastic. If they used this one but painted it the correct colours, I think this would have made Halloween 4 an even better movie. But the fact that it's got white hair and it's got a kind of pink face to it, sort of like the William Shatner colour face, then that's obviously terrible. I'm glad they only used this one for the one scene with Dr. Loomis, similar to what they've done with the CGI mask in H2O. They didn't have a lot of time, the wrong mask came, they only used it for that scene and they had to do other scenes separately. So yeah, I know the reasons behind using this mask. I just wish they did use it, but had the time to paint it the right colours and it would have been fantastic. But because they didn't, and because it's pink and white, then that's why it's so low down on this list. And at number 16 is the paper mask from Rob Zombie's Halloween. Now I know that Michael uses a lot of paper masks in the film and you can see them all in this image here, but we're really only talking about the specific one that he killed people with and the one that he used for most of the movie that he had the paper masks, and that was the orange one that he used. I think it's quite creepy. I actually do like it, and I think I actually like all the masks from this one upwards, but this one, there's something so creepy and simplistic about it, because we know that Michael uses the white mask originally and it's got that pale, emotionless face, and I can see that in this orange one. It's got an emotionless face, it's not that pale, and it's got a little bit of detail to it, but it's got that emotionless look to it, so therefore I quite like it. And at number 15 is the mask from Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. I don't love this mask. I know that a lot of people do really like this mask and they think it looks so much like the original. I don't think so. I think this mask looks too heavy on Michael. It looks too heavy on anyone, but it just looks like it's made of clay, and I call it the CLAYFACE mask because it looks like it's made of this hard clay material that if you touch it, it will just smash. I don't hate it. I think it's good. I think it's okay, but there's just something about it that's got too many features to it that put me off. But at the same time, I know that they tried a lot better than they did in the previous movies. And at number 14 is a clown mask from Rob Zombie's Halloween. Now this one was a creepy one. It's that, what do you call it, the vacuum pack masks that we got back in the 80s and the 90s and the 70s. So yeah, it's got an originality look to it, and it's got that creepy vibe that when you watch old videos, to old Halloween videos, you've got these little kids running around with those kind of masks on, and that's what it reminds me of, and I think that adds to the creepy vibe to it. It's also a tribute to the clown mask that Michael wore in 1963 in the original Halloween as well. So it's got that tribute factor to it, but it's also got that creepy factor to it. And at number 13 is a mask from Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. I think this is the one that I've come more warm to over the years. I thought this one was the ultimate worst by a country mile when I was younger, and even lately, a couple of years ago, I still thought it was really bad, but there's something about it that I'm warming to now. I don't know if it's the nostalgia of the movie that's helping, but it's clean, it's emotionless, but it just looks very cheap, and I think that's the problem with it. It just looks like a cheap mask. When you see it from Trick or Treat Studios and other people wearing the mask out and about, I think it looks better on them than it does in the movie. So I don't know if maybe some of the lighting scenes in the film didn't help at all, and that's maybe a factor of why it looks so bad, but it's one of the masks that I've came around to actually really like now, and I think I'm actually going to buy it. And then number 12 is the clown mask from Halloween from 1978. I think this one, similar to the Rob Zombie's clown mask, is very creepy, but there's something about it that I just don't really know about, and I think it is the lack of seeing the mask. You only see it for that one scene, even though Michael wears it for almost the entire opening scene, because we only see it from his point of view. But I know what the mask looks like in real life. I've seen it out, and it's obviously on sale now, but in the film you don't get a full scope of what it actually looks like. But the reason that I do like it is because it's got the creepy factor, and you don't see it that often. I think that's what makes it creepy, because he's supposed to be emotionless, and although you do see more of Michael's face in that scene, just seeing his dad lift the mask off, but for that split second you see the full mask, it's very creepy and you get that eerie vibe to it. So yeah, I really do like this one. And at number 11 is the mask from Halloween Resurrection. Now this is one that's got maybe too many features to it as well. It looks like Michael is wearing some makeup as well. I think they try and define the mask a little bit more than they need to. It's supposed to be that blank, pale, emotionless face, but in this one you're defining it too much. It's almost like they're trying to replicate the mask from the original of how it looked on screen. But that's not what you have to do. You have to make it plain, and then you have to work the lighting to make it look like it did in the original. That's the mistake a lot of people make. Even mask makers today, they try and give it that defined look, but you don't have to. Give it the plain look, and what we do is light it in a way that it looks good. That's what you're supposed to do. So I think that's the mistake they made with Resurrection, but it still looks good on screen in certain scenes. Yes, it's got the afro, and I know that a lot of people have a problem with the H2O mask because they think the hair's too big, but they like the Resurrection mask. I don't understand that, because if you look at the Resurrection mask, the hair is awful. The hair looks twice as big as it did in H2O, so the hair is the big problem for me, and the defined look is not fantastic, but overall it's a good looking mask. And at number 10 is the mask from the original Halloween 2. Now, before you all jump on me guys, I know that it's the exact same mask as the mask used in the original movie, but it does look different. It is aged, definitely, and it's worn by Dick Warlock, so it looks different on the face as well. So I'm going to rank them differently, and that's the reason why it's number 10, because it does look maybe badly worn. Now, this is obviously 3 years later in real life, so it is going to look worn in real life, but in the movie it's the same night, so it's supposed to look the same. I know they had budget restraints in this one as well, but I think they should have just got another Shatner mask at the time, because it would have been easier to get at that point and just do the exact same thing that they did with the original mask. That's all they had to do. But they used the same mask. It looks a lot thinner now. It looks shaped differently because of Dick Warlock's face. There's just something about it that I didn't love, but you have to appreciate the look of the mask itself. And what they've done great in this one is use the lighting. Like I mentioned in the Resurrection one, they didn't redefine the mask. They used the same mask with the pale, blank and motionless face, and they used the lighting to make it look good. And the scenes that it looked good, it looked fantastic, and that's all thanks to the lighting in the movie, and I think that's why it's so high up on the list. It would have been lower down if they tried to redefine it, but they didn't. They kept it simple, and that's why I still really like it. I don't love it, I still really like it, and that's why it is in the top 10. And at number 9 is the clean mask from Rob Zombie's Halloween. This is the mask that Michael first gets before he gets older, and it just looks so clean and defined. There's no makeup on it, which is great. The eyebrows are kind of pale, blank as well, so I think everything about it looks really good on screen. It looks sort of silly on Michael because he's just a young kid at the time, but you put that mask on an adult and that looks fantastic. I think Rob Zombie done a really good job with not giving us the exact same mask, but still giving us a mask that looks worthy of a Halloween movie. And at number 8 is the worn mask from Rob Zombie's Halloween. Now, this mask, just similar to the clean mask, it's got all the looks and the features that you want, and the damages that the mask has over the aging that they've done in this film is perfect, because it does still look clean enough to know what the mask is supposed to look like, but at the same time it's got that grungy look to it that is quite good and quite worn. I know that in the original Halloween the mask wasn't worn or grungy looking because it was still brand new when Michael wore it as an adult, but there's something creepy about this one because Michael already wore it as a child and he's re-wearing it again. He remembers where it was and he's got that connection to the mask already. So there's a story behind this mask that I really like compared to a lot of the other masks on this list, and therefore again it's really high up on the list. And at number 7 is the Stan Winston mask from Halloween H2O. Now this is where a lot of people will have a problem with me because they associate this Stan Winston mask to the other really terrible masks in this movie, and you shouldn't do that. If you're going to rank them all separately, because this mask is fantastic. Now I know that the hair is a little bit wavy, but we can live with that. The eye holes are not massive. I know a lot of people think the eye holes are huge. They're not. They're round about the same size as the eye holes in most of the other movies. This is a Hollywood film, so it's lit in a Hollywood style, and that's maybe the downfall for the mask because you see his eyes too much, but you do see his eyes in other movies. They're just really dark. I don't mean the eyes, I mean the lighting in those scenes are really dark, but this one is a Hollywood lit movie, so that's where maybe it suffers for some people. But to me, the look of this mask, the definition of the mask, the blank, pale, emotionless face, is all there. So I can't see much problems with it unless you're really lighting the scene. But I love this mask. I've loved it since the movie came out, and I really still don't understand the hate for it. My only explanation is you're looking at the wrong mask. You know, this is a Stan Winston mask. Those of you who know about Stan Winston will understand and appreciate the work and the effort that he goes into making masks, and he's probably looked at the other masks that were already shot and used in the movie, including the curse mask, and thought, those are terrible, let's do something closer to the original, and this is what we got. Fantastic. And at number 6 is the bandages in Halloween 4. Now you might be thinking, well, that's not a mask. Well, he's masked up as he's killing someone in the movie, so I'm counting this as part of the masks that Michael wore, because you don't see his face because they're covered. And I think if Michael used the bandages in Halloween 4 throughout the entire movie, I would be okay with that, because Michael's just out the hospital. It's his triumphant return. Why not let him use the bandages for a little bit more and maybe get the mask, the white mask, closer to the end of the movie? Because the way that he got the mask in Halloween 4, as in the white mask, was a little bit too far-fetched, and they already done that in the 1978 movie. And what was the chances of Michael getting the exact same mask, or almost the exact same mask, 10 years later? So I think using the bandages was a better option for me. I think that was really well played. Only if they used it a little bit more, it would have been a lot better. But just seeing him in this scene with just the eye holes a little bit and they still get covered up, it was genius, because you still don't see his face, and the reason for that is because he's burned. But yeah, absolutely creepy, and I love it if they continued using that throughout the rest of the movie. And then number 5 is the mask from Halloween Ends. Now if you want to decay a mask like they tried to do in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, as much as it was realistic, you're losing half the face of the mask. So if you want to do it right, do it like Halloween Ends. Give it that decay in the way that you still recognise the mask as being the iconic mask from Halloween, but still give it that decayed look. So not only is this mask burned, it's got that kind of fluffiness look to it because it's aging really badly, and in real life that probably would have aged a little bit more than what it did on screen. But I'm glad they've done it this way, because we still get to see the full look of the Myers mask. We still get that iconic shape to the mask, that it's not losing any of the definition, and it's not losing that look to it. If anything, anything that you're decaying on the mask just makes it look better, and that shows on screen. And then number 4 is the mask from Halloween from 2018. This is the first time we're getting to see the supposed original mask for 40 years, and although it's not the original mask itself, it damn near looks like the original mask itself, only being aged for 40 years. Now I know that people in the latex community would say latex wouldn't last 40 years, it would decay to nothingness, and it did. The original mask did do that, but we're going to have to assume that this mask was locked up somewhere where it's not going to decay itself to the natural elements. It's been locked away in a place where it could only decay slightly, and if you're going to do that over a 40-year period, this is how it's going to look. And obviously, just like I said before, with lighting in movies, lighting is key. And I think the lighting in the 2018 movie was fantastic, and that really added to the look and the feel of the Myers mask. Before I go ahead and tell you my top 3, guys, because it is really close, tell me your top 3 down below, because I know that you don't really want to tell me the full 22 on your list. If you give me at least your top 3, leave them down below and let's see if they marry up to what my top 3 is. And at number 3 is the mask from Halloween Kills. Now you're probably thinking, well, the mask is very similar to Halloween Ends, and yes it is, but there's something about the little bits on the mask from Halloween Ends that kind of changes my opinion between Ends and Kills. I think if you're going to decay the mask, you don't want to have it too much. As much as I love the mask in Halloween Ends, I think the mask in Halloween Kills gets it that sweet spot where you're still seeing the mask, but you've got really good damage to it. And if you're going to damage a mask, then give it the burned look, because burns in horror films look creepy, like Freddy Krueger, for example. So it's got that Freddy Krueger vibe to it, that it's been through the wars. It's got all the burns on it and the scarring from the burns. Even the look of the mask, it's starting to look sort of pumpkin-like to it. Very creepy, very eerie, and it's obviously got that Michael look from 1978. So everything that I love about the Michael Myers mask is there with Halloween Kills. It's just so eerie and creepy and menacing. And at number 2 is the original mask from 1978's Halloween. And you might be like, what? Yep, that's it. This is the mask that I'm going for as number 2. So you're probably wondering what the mask is in number 1, but you'll find it out in a minute. But going back to the original mask, it is a perfect looking mask. It is fantastic. I think the story behind the mask is a story in itself, where they had to find a mask and they just saw the William Shatner mask, they cut out the eyes, they spray painted it. You know the story. And the rest is history, but this was very iconic. And yes, it's got kind of big eye holes as well. They had to cut the eye holes out, similar to the Halloween H2O mask where you see the eyes quite a lot. But what John Carpenter done was he took that silly looking mask and made it look fantastic because of the lighting that they used in the movie, thanks to Dean Cundey's cinematography. So it gave us what they wanted, that pale, blank, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes, not physically, metaphorically, and just bringing that on screen, because John Carpenter looked at the script and read the script and wrote the script and thought, right, let's give us that pale, blank, emotionless face with the blackest eyes and the devil's eyes, and he took that metaphor and made it reality, and this was the result. And at number 1 is the flashback mask from Halloween Kills. Now, everything that I said was a positive for the original mask includes it here for this mask, because this is an original mask. They didn't have to go out and buy a William Shatner mask. They had the tools to be able to make the perfect mask, and they had the tools all along throughout all the sequels in the Halloween franchise. They just never utilised it. But today, they've still got the same equipment today as they had back then, because it's just latex and extras that they had. They made the perfect mask. Not only did they mimic the original mask from 1978, they didn't have to scrimp and scrape and take a William Shatner mask and cut it to bits. They just made the mould straight from scratch, and this is the result that we got. And then they implemented that lighting that Dean Cundey done in 1978 with a flashback, and just replicated the look and the feel of that era. And when you include that type of Michael Myers mask into that scenario, you'd get the perfect blend of originality and that new style, because although we're looking at a mask that's supposed to be in 1978 in that era, we're looking at it today in the modern day and looking at it thinking, wow, that's incredible. Just that flashback scene itself, I'm not saying the flashback scene is better than the original movie, I just think the look of Michael, the look of that mask is incredible. I think that is better than the look of the original mask, and that's why it's number 1. So that is my ranking for all 22 masks that Michael has worn throughout the franchise, guys. I know there's some controversial numbers in there with the H2O mask and maybe the original mask not being number 1, but if you can be bothered, please leave all 22 down below. Let me know your 22 to number 1, and if you can't do that, just give me your top 5 or your top 3 or whatever. Like I said, leave them down below and we can maybe have a discussion about it. So as always, guys, thanks a lot for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.